Most people move through life convinced that time is something outside of them, something absolute, something that carries them from one moment to the next like a river carrying a leaf. They believe there is a fixed past behind them, a solid present they are standing in, and a future that is approaching them whether they are ready or not. But what if this entire structure is not the nature of reality itself, but rather the structure of human perception? What if time, as you experience it, is not a thing moving forward at all, but a way consciousness organizes experience so that it can know itself? When you look deeply into your own awareness, you will notice something remarkable. You are never actually in the past, nor are you ever in the future. You are always here. The only place you have ever truly known is this present awareness. The past is not a place you can return to. It is a memory appearing now. The future is not a place you are moving toward. It is an imagination appearing now. So then ask yourself, where is time being experienced? It is being experienced entirely within the present moment. This leads to a profound realization. What you call time passing is actually a change in state within consciousness. You are not moving through time, you are moving through states of awareness. The sense of continuity, the feeling that yesterday led to today, and today leads to tomorrow, is created within the mind as a narrative. But narratives require a storyteller, and that storyteller is your awareness itself, arranging impressions in a sequence so that experience can feel structured and meaningful. Consider this carefully. When you recall your childhood, you are not traveling backward. You are bringing a version of yourself into the present moment through memory. And when you imagine your future, you are not traveling forward. You are bringing a version of yourself into the present moment through imagination. In both cases, everything is happening now. The mind simply labels one past and the other future, but both are equally present experiences. This is why it is said that time is not what it appears to be. It is not a river flowing independently of you. It is more like a field of possibilities being observed from a single point of awareness. And that awareness does not move, it only changes its focus. When focus shifts, experience changes, and when experience changes, we interpret it as time passing. Now understand this carefully. If time is a perception, then your entire reality is being filtered through the state you occupy right now. You are not waiting for life to unfold, you are unfolding it through the lens of your present consciousness. Every assumption you accept as true becomes the structure through which time appears to progress. This is why two people can live the same day yet experience entirely different realities within it. So when you say, "I will become something in the future," you are unknowingly reinforcing the illusion of separation between you and that state. But if time is truly a perception, then nothing is waiting ahead of you. Everything is being revealed from within you as you shift in awareness. The future is not approaching. It is already embedded within the depth of your present consciousness, waiting to be recognized. And in that recognition, the illusion of distance begins to dissolve. Now let us go deeper into something even more subtle. Something that most people overlook entirely because they are trained to think of the present moment as small, limited, and already defined. They assume the present is simply what is happening right now in front of their senses. But if you examine it more closely, you will begin to realize that the present moment is not a narrow point in time, it is an infinite field of possibility. Everything you will ever experience is already contained within this moment in an unmanifested form, not as physical events already placed in a timeline, but as potential states of consciousness waiting to be expressed. The future, as you imagine it, is not something that does not yet exist. It exists now, but not as form. It exists as possibility, as probability, as a living potential within awareness itself. Think of it this way. Before anything becomes a physical experience, it must first exist as a state. Before any outcome appears in your world, it must first be held as an assumption within consciousness. This means that every version of your future already exists in a subtle, invisible way in the present moment. Nothing is being created later, everything is being revealed from what already is within you now. This is why imagination is not a fantasy, but a creative act. When you imagine something, you are not escaping reality. You are selecting from the infinite field of present possibilities. You are focusing on one version of reality that already exists in potential form and giving it definition through attention. And what you consistently hold in awareness begins to feel more real than what your physical senses are currently showing you. Now consider the implications of this. If the present moment contains all possibilities, then there is no true delay between desire and fulfillment. Delay only appears when consciousness is divided, when you believe you are here and your desire is somewhere far ahead of you in time. But if both exist within the same present field, then the only thing separating you from any experience is your state of awareness. This is why different people can occupy the same external moment, yet live entirely different realities. One person sees limitation, another sees opportunity. One feels lack, another feels fulfillment. The external world appears shared, but the internal selection of possibilities is entirely individual. You are always selecting from the same infinite field, but your state determines what becomes visible and what remains hidden. So when you desire something, a better life, a different identity, a fulfilled version of yourself, you are not reaching for something absent. You are becoming aware of something already present in potential form. The question is not whether it exists, but whether you are aligned with the version of you that naturally expresses it. This is where the paradox becomes clear. You do not create the future by chasing it. You reveal it by occupying the state from which it naturally flows. The present moment is not a waiting room. It is a selection point. Every thought, every assumption, every emotional state is a way of tuning into a specific version of reality that already exists in this field of infinite possibility. And when you begin to understand this deeply, the need to struggle, to force, to rush into the future begins to dissolve. Because you realize you are not trying to get anywhere, you are simply becoming aware of what is already here. And in that awareness, everything begins to shift. Now let us turn to something even more fundamental. Something that quietly governs everything you experience without you even realizing it. If time is a perception, and if all possibilities already exist within the present moment, then the question naturally arises, what is it that is actually moving through these possibilities? What is it that chooses, selects, and brings experience into focus? The answer lies in consciousness itself. You are not a body moving through time. You are not a mind trapped inside a sequence of events. You are awareness, and awareness does not move in the way objects move. It does not travel from one place to another. It does not shift from past to future. It simply is. What changes is not awareness itself, but the state in which awareness is expressed. Think of consciousness as a single, unchanging point of observation. It is constant. It does not age. It does not go anywhere. But within it, there are infinite ways of being aware. These ways of being aware are what you call states. And as you shift from one state to another, your entire reality appears to change with you. This is why life feels like movement through time, even though what is actually happening is a movement of attention. When your attention changes, your world changes. When your inner state shifts, your outer experience follows. It is not the world that is moving toward you. It is your awareness that is selecting what version of the world becomes visible. Now consider how subtle this really is. You can think of your past as fixed, but even your memory of the past changes depending on your current state. The same event can feel painful in one state and neutral in another. It can feel like failure in one perspective and like wisdom in another. The event itself does not move, but your consciousness reshapes its meaning. This alone reveals that experience is not anchored in fixed time, but in shifting awareness. So when people say they are waiting for the future, what they are actually doing is holding their consciousness in a state that does not yet reflect the experience they desire. They believe time will bring change, but in truth it is the change of state that brings time into alignment with a new experience. This is why consciousness is the true navigator of what you call time. It does not travel through time, it determines how time is experienced. A shift in consciousness is instantly a shift in reality, even if the external world appears to take time to reflect it. The delay is not in creation, it is in recognition. The moment consciousness fully occupies a new state, the world begins to reorganize itself around that state. You are always living in the reflection of your dominant awareness, not your passing thoughts, but your settled state of being. This is the level where identity is formed, and identity is what determines how the flow of events is interpreted as time. So the deeper truth becomes clear. You are not a passenger inside time, you are the one through whom time is experienced. You are not waiting for life to happen, life is unfolding through the state you are occupying right now. And when this is understood, the illusion of being moved by time begins to fade. Now let us go even deeper into something that most people overlook because it appears so ordinary, yet it governs the entire structure of their experience. If consciousness is what moves attention and shapes the perception of time, then what is it that defines the direction of that movement? What determines the quality of what you experience next? It is your current state. Your state is not just a mood that comes and goes. It is not a temporary emotion that visits you during the day. Your state is your entire inner position of being. It is the sum total of what you accept as true in this moment. About yourself, about life, about what is possible for you. And from this inner position, your entire future is being formed, not as something distant, but as something continuously unfolding from the present. This is why your present state can be seen as a blueprint, not a blueprint in the sense of a fixed plan written somewhere outside of you, but a living inner design that shapes how reality organizes itself around you. You are always broadcasting a state, and that broadcast determines what you experience as your world. Not later, not someday, but continuously, right now. If you look carefully, you will notice that nothing in your life appears randomly. It always aligns with the state you have been occupying. When you feel secure, the world reflects stability. When you feel uncertain, the world reflects unpredictability. When you feel abundant within yourself, opportunities seem to appear effortlessly. And when you feel lack, life seems to confirm that feeling through experience. It is not coincidence, it is correspondence. Now understand this clearly. Your future is not waiting to be created. It is already being shaped by the state you are currently living in. What you will experience tomorrow is not separate from what you are being today. It is an extension of it. The future is not something arriving from outside of you. It is something flowing out from your present identity. This is why effort alone cannot change a life. You can act in countless ways, but if the underlying state remains unchanged, the pattern of experience remains the same. Action without state is repetition. But when the state changes, even without immediate external effort, life begins to reorganize itself in ways that match the new inner position. Think of it like this. Your state is the soil, and your experiences are the fruit. You do not change the fruit directly, you change the soil. And once the soil is different, the fruit must follow naturally. This is why transformation always begins within. It is not something added to you, it is something revealed through you. So when you imagine your future, you are not actually trying to reach a distant outcome. You are being invited to step into the state from which that outcome naturally flows. The future you desire is not ahead of you, it is within a different version of your present awareness. And the moment you shift into that awareness, you begin to experience life from that point of view. This is also why doubt delays experience. Not because time is resisting you, but because doubt anchors you to an old state. And as long as you remain anchored there, the world can only reflect that position back to you. But the moment you release identification with that old state and settle into a new one, everything begins to shift in alignment. So your present state is not something to be taken lightly. It is not background noise in your experience. It is the creative foundation of everything you will ever encounter. It is the silent architect of your future, continuously building without pause, without interruption, from the raw material of your awareness right now. And when this is truly understood, you begin to see that nothing about your future is uncertain. Now let us confront one of the deepest illusions that keeps human beings bound to unnecessary limitation, the illusion of waiting. Almost every person in one form or another is waiting for their life to begin. They are waiting for the right opportunity, waiting for circumstances to improve, waiting for time to pass, waiting for something outside of themselves to finally shift, so that their inner desire can become real. But pause and look at this carefully. What is waiting really? Waiting is the belief that what you desire is not already accessible in the present moment. It is the assumption that fulfillment exists somewhere ahead of you, separated by distance in time. And in that very assumption, you place yourself in a state of lack, because you are continuously acknowledging absence rather than presence. This is the subtle trap of time. It convinces you that life is delayed, that outcomes are pending, that your fulfillment is on its way but not yet here. And while you hold that belief, you are not simply observing time. You are participating in its illusion. You are reinforcing the idea that you and your desire are separate. But consider this more deeply. If all states already exist within consciousness, and if the present moment contains all possibilities, then there is nothing to wait for. There is only something to become aware of. The experience you are seeking is not traveling toward you. It is already present in potential form, waiting for your awareness to align with it. Waiting keeps your attention locked in a state of incompleteness. It says, not yet, not here, not now, and that inner declaration becomes your experience. Not because the world is withholding anything, but because your consciousness is consistently affirming separation from what you desire. Now observe how this plays out in life. When someone is waiting for success, they often feel frustration, because their attention is fixed on what is missing. When someone is waiting for love, they often feel loneliness because their awareness is centered on absence. When someone is waiting for change, they often feel stuck because their identity is anchored in the idea that change has not yet occurred. But the paradox is this: the more you wait, the more you confirm the state of waiting. And a state of waiting is a state of non-fulfillment. So the very act of waiting becomes the barrier, not time itself. This is why realization is so important. Because realization does not wait, it recognizes that what was believed to be distant is actually present in a different form. It recognizes that fulfillment is not arriving, it is already here in essence, waiting to be embodied. When you stop waiting, something extraordinary happens. You remove the inner tension between where you are and where you think you should be. And in that release, you are no longer projecting life into a future moment. You begin to experience life as it is unfolding now without resistance. This does not mean external circumstances instantly change in a dramatic way. What changes first is your relationship to them, and that shift in relationship is what begins to reorganize experience itself. Because when you are no longer waiting, you are no longer reinforcing delay. You are simply living from the awareness that what you seek is already within the present field of consciousness. So the illusion of waiting is dissolved not by effort but by recognition, not by trying harder but by realizing deeper. The moment you stop dividing your life into now and later, something fundamental shifts. You return to the understanding that nothing essential is missing from this moment. And in that understanding, time loses its power to delay you. Now let us bring everything together into the most practical and yet the most subtle realization of all. If time is perception, and if all possibilities already exist within the present moment, and if consciousness is the navigator of experience, and if your current state is the blueprint of what unfolds, and if waiting itself is the illusion that keeps you bound, then the final question naturally arises: how does anything actually change? The answer is alignment, not effort, not struggle, not forcing life to bend, but alignment of being. Because when your inner state fully aligns with the reality you desire to experience, something extraordinary happens within perception itself. The sense of distance collapses, the feeling of not yet begins to dissolve, and what once appeared to be in the future begins to feel natural, familiar, and already present within you. Alignment does not mean pretending. It does not mean convincing yourself of something your entire being rejects. It means gently shifting into the state where the desired reality feels like a natural extension of you. It is not imagination as escape. It is imagination as embodiment. You are not trying to reach a future version of yourself. You are allowing yourself to inhabit the consciousness of that version now. And when this happens, time begins to lose its rigidity, because time only feels solid when there is inner separation. When there is me here and my life there, time becomes a bridge you must cross. But when that separation dissolves through alignment, there is no bridge left to cross. There is only being. In that state, the future does not feel far away. It feels like it is already unfolding from within you, not because external circumstances have instantly transformed, but because your perception has shifted to the level where that reality already exists. And once you occupy that level, your outer world begins to reorganize itself to match it. This is why alignment is the key that collapses time. Because time depends on contrast, on the gap between desire and fulfillment, between here and there, between now and later. But when consciousness no longer holds that gap, time loses its structure. It becomes fluid, it becomes responsive, it becomes a reflection rather than a barrier. You will notice that when you are deeply aligned, patience is no longer something you struggle with, because patience implies waiting for something external to arrive. But alignment removes the sense of arrival altogether. You are no longer moving toward life, you are participating in it from within. And in this participation, something subtle yet powerful occurs. Your external world begins to mirror your inner certainty. not immediately in dramatic ways, but in ways that feel increasingly natural, increasingly inevitable. Because reality always adjusts itself to the state that is most consistently embodied. So the question is no longer how do I get there? The question becomes what state am I occupying right now? Because that state is already determining what you call tomorrow. And when you fully accept this, you stop treating life as something ahead of you. You stop dividing experience into present struggle and future reward. Instead, you begin to recognize that everything is unfolding from a single point of awareness, and that point is always here. In that realization, effort transforms into embodiment, waiting transforms into recognition, seeking transforms into being. And time, as you once understood it, begins to dissolve into something far more immediate and far more powerful. And in that collapse of separation, what you once called the future stands revealed as already here.